Five Nights at Freddy's, Clawmarks, Chapter 5. Henry got out of his car, a gear in one arm and opening the front door of the other. He greeted Max, then handed him the part. "Here you go," he said. "Now Foxy should be up and running." Max laughed a little under his breath, knowing that statement had a double meaning. Instead, he thanked Henry and asked, "Have you seen Will? He's 10 minutes late." Henry replied, "Maybe he's working on a new robot." That's when Max noticed a long adhesive bandage wrapped around Henry's left wrist. Old blood was clearly visible through the white wrap. Sir, what happened there?" Max asked in concern. "Are you hurt?" The manager looked down, then said, "Oh, I just poked myself with a tool by accident." Max couldn't help but notice that Henry wasn't looking directly at him when he said that. Instead of pressing, for the obvious, Max just calmly laid a hand on Henry's shoulder, nodding. "Okay, then," he murmured. "If you need anything at all, just let me know." The manager seemed surprised, then, seeing Max's understanding expression, nodded. "I will," the manager sighed. Just then, William came striding by, carrying something long under a purple overcoat. He glanced at the two men before rolling his eyes and going inside. Max felt upset. Did Will know about this and didn't care? Later that day, Max continued his work on Foxy. The events from last night scared him quite a bit, but he had a job to do. Max carefully took out the busted gear and replaced it with a new one. Then the engineer noticed that the Fox's hook was rusty. A long, ugly scratch ran down one side of it. "Don't worry, Foxy," Max whispered. "We'll have you in shipshape soon, matey." The animatronic stared ahead, motionless. When Max went backstage to get a hook, he was a little surprised to see Will back there, who quickly covered up something metallic with the overcoat. "What are you doing?" Afton barked, a hint of fear in his voice. Confused, Max replied, "Just getting a new hook for Foxy." Afton snorted, turning his back to the engineer. "Why do you care anyways?" he grumbled. "Because it's my job, Mr. Afton. And I don't know about you, but Foxy needs a little more respect right now." Will turned to face Max. "Respect?" he snapped. "It's a dumb robot." Max shot back. "A robot you made, and he holds a special place in the hearts of children, I know," Max interrupted. What a stupid line. Clutching the hook in one fist, Max stared at the man in purple. "Listen, Will," he tried again. "Just because you woke up on the wrong side of the bed this morning doesn't mean you need to start acting like this. Henry nearly killed himself last night." William shrugged it off. "Probably isn't the first time either," he retorted. Both men stared each other down, waiting for one of them to break the silence. Finally, Will did. "Max, let's make something very clear today. We are not friends, and I hate this place. Henry's been depressed for years. The pay certainly isn't getting any better, and no matter what you do to Foxy, he's going to fall apart again anyway." Max gave him a quizzed glance. "Then why do you keep coming back?" he asked. "Why are you so angry nowadays? Why does Vicky hang around Freddy? Why—" Afton startled. "She what?" he growled. Max pressed. "Will, answer me." Suddenly, Will grabbed Max by the shirt and held him against the wall, glaring at him. "I don't know what you're up to or who told you these things, but I'm just going through some things myself." Will calmed down a little as he continued. "My animatronics are programmed to learn things, so I have to correct them if necessary, especially Vicky. That's why I'm so frustrated and upset. And the reason I keep coming back is because... Afton looked like he said too much already. "Because of your children," Max finished. Will stared at him before putting him down. Afton closed his eyes and murmured, "Just go work on Foxy, Max. I'm so sorry." Then Will turned and picked up the object hidden in the overcoat, slinging it over his shoulder as he briskly walked away. Max was quiet before he said to himself, "Well, I certainly don't come here because of the money." Upon passing one of the tables, Max heard a woman's worried voice. "Where's Olivia? She was just here." "I'll help as soon as I fix Foxy," Max promised. He crawled back up into Pirate's Cove, holding the flashlight in his mouth. He unscrewed the old hook and replaced the new one in Foxy, which was gold instead of silver. Really, though, it looked much better. Max barely even congratulated himself when Foxy swung at him. He tumbled back, losing the flashlight, bracing himself. No blows came. Max slowly looked up to see Foxy staring into the open panel on his side, which contained the new gear. It moved counterclockwise in sync with another one that moved clockwise. The animatronic looked puzzled at first, then closed the panel. Foxy's eyes lit up a bit greener as he set his gaze on Max. Though scared, Max whispered, "There you go." Foxy cocked his head at the engineer, a hint of a smile on his muzzle. Max extended a hand, carefully stroking Foxy's fur, which was starting to get matted from neglect. Foxy's ears pricked up. He was listening to that woman at the table. She was talking to someone about her daughter. "Have you seen her?" the woman asked. "She has brown hair, brown eyes, an orange dress, and a headband. Please, I'm begging you." Foxy's servos clicked in word. Then before Max could stop him, he opened the curtains and got off the stage. The fox seemed to be on a mission as he scouted around, scanning the amused crowds of children. "Foxy?" a little boy asked. Foxy bowed in response before walking away from this cove. The animatronic was halfway across the room when a loud boom rattled the pizzeria. People screamed as they fell to the floor, paralyzed. Max's ears were ringing like crazy, but above the white noise, pounding inside his skull, he could hear kids screaming and crying as their terrified parents did everything they could to calm them down. The animatronics, including Foxy, looked bewildered. They didn't know what to do. A few daytime guards ran backstage where the noise had come from, and Max spotted Will in the corner. The man was trying to quickly wipe off red spots on his face before anyone could notice them. Henry ran out of his office, trying to help the customers settle. The guards came back with disgusted looks on their faces. Somebody must have called the police, because a squad car pulled up in the parking lot. During all of this turmoil, Vicky was nowhere to be found. Max had no clue why, but he felt some unexplained concern for her and went running backstage. Freddy crept off and followed him, perhaps thinking the same thing he did. After what happened next, Max wished he stayed put. There was just so much blood everywhere. Max spent the next 10 minutes vomiting in the janitor's mop bucket as the sheriff examined the child's body. The orange dress was unmistakable. While this was happening, everyone left the building in a hurry. Everyone, that is, except for Olivia's mother. She was hysterical when she learned who the victim was, and refused to leave the building. After managing to stagger onto his feet, Max looked for Vicky. A groan came from a pile of endoskeleton parts. "Vicky," Max cried, trying to unbury her. To his horrified surprise, Freddy crept over to his side, quietly helping him. "Max," Vicky mumbled, weakly opening her eyes. Max looked down and saw a hole in her hip. Freddy lifted Vicky into his lap, hugging her close. "I tried to stop him," she wheezed. "Who?" Max cried, caring for her more than ever. "Who did this to you?" Her soft reply came as clear as day. "William Afton." Surprisingly, Max was still permitted to work the night shift after the incident. Henry talked to the sheriff, and he seemed okay with it. As shaken up as he was, Max didn't really care about his surroundings right now. All of the doubts in his mind had come crashing down on him today, all of the suspicion being confirmed once Vicky told him what happened. There was no way she was making this up. Too much was happening. Lost in thought, Max barely noticed when Foxy carefully walked in. The guard edged away, but Foxy didn't seem to want to kill him. Bonnie came in with Chica, who were both helping Vicky walk. Freddy leaned against the doorway, arms crossed. "Maxie?" Vicky asked. Max went to her. "Vicky, are you okay?" he questioned. She replied, "Never better, but I'm being sent away for a while. I got involved and I got in trouble." Max said, "You tried to save her, Vicky." Vicky shook her head. "Will told the cops I attacked him unprovoked." "What a liar," she snarled. Artificial tears came from her eyes. Vicky got to her knees, holding her face in her paws. "I'm a failure, Max. More than you are," she whimpered. Freddy hesitated for a bit before he knelt down beside her and embraced her. Vicky looked at him in surprise, then smiled a little. Max sighed, rubbing his temples. "Vicky, I'm so sorry for everything," he said. "None of this is your fault, really," Vicky murmured, staring at the tiled floor. "I'm the one who's been a tremendous jerk to you. If anyone should be apologizing, it's me, especially since this is my last night here." Max spoke up. "Last night? Why can't I talk to Henry about this?" Vicky's eyes flickered at him. "He's going to die, Max," she growled. "The poor man has failed in his last attempt, but now he has built something that will get the job done for him." Max shot to his feet. "How can you say that? Henry's got a daughter to take care of. He wouldn't do that to her," he yelled. Then the guard slumped over, sobbing silently. Vicky approached him, thinking about killing the fool, thinking about guiding him. She chose the latter and whispered, "William's going to hurt another child unless you stop him. The only way the souls of the children will be free is if you murder him." "Just rip me apart already," Max groaned. "This is too much for a nobody like me to handle." When he looked up expecting a glaring face, Vicky instead had sorrow in her eyes. She purred, "You won't understand until later on. Get some rest for now. The others won't hurt you anymore. There's a lot to be done tomorrow." The animatronic kissed his forehead. "Bye, Max. Take care of yourself." Max felt tears rolling down his cheeks. "Vicky, please, don't leave." The hybrid smirked knowingly, saying, "I'll be back," as she disappeared down the west hall. Freddy followed her, and the others took their leave. Max didn't realize how exhausted he was until he closed his eyes and fell asleep. When he came to, it was a few minutes after 6 a.m. He walked out of the office, noticing 2 vehicles pulling up outside. One was a sedan, the other a van. 2 men were carrying a dolly, and behind them was a police officer. Vicky sighed, flicking her tail from side to side. Freddy was the only one not on stage. "Go on. Get up there before they see you," she told him. Freddy gave her a sad look as he walked backwards to where his friends were waiting. "Goodbye, Teddy Bear," Vicky choked, trying to smile. Freddy shut his eyes for a moment before jumping on the stage, sniffling. When everyone had deactivated, Max led the trio of men inside of his spare keys. The men of the dolly had come for Vicky, but the cop wanted to speak with Max.